All right, so we're going to talk about the Eastern Conference Finals between Miami, the number 1 seed, and Boston, the number 2 seed. Um, Obviously, a fun pick for me because it puts me in a rock and a hard place of picking between the original finals contender of Miami and then my hot take Boston Celtics finals contender, based off their surging, end of season and rolling into the playoffs. Um, I am going to roll with the momentum. I think that's going to be the theme of my picks this evening. Momentum is really important, and the narrative comes into it. I think the Celtics, conquering the Bucks as the former champion with a pretty erratic series. I know that could be held against them, but proving that they can win on the road several times. Obviously, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown just getting more notches on their belt for this experience, but also going up against Miami, who I don't think has really been tested this playoff series. They had a very quick and easy job with Atlanta, which, if you look at the point differential, was a little bit closer than you'd expect for a team that clearly handled another. Obviously, Philly, who didn't have Joel Embiid for the first 2 games, and obviously Miami being more of a team-orientated thing than a superstar. And those games where Jimmy Butler went off and the rest of Miami didn't, they lose. I can see that very much happening against Boston. And so I'm going with the Celtics in 6.
I believe you're abandoning Miami. Like you had them picked to go all the way into the finals, and then the Suns, I think, winning it. And then now you're like totally ditching them. I think though. I think, yeah, firstly, I guess credit to Boston. Obviously, they knocked out the Bucks. I picked the Bucks to go all the way. I said that Boston would not get past the Bucks because they still needed to get through some growing pains, all right, and be able to earn their worth into the conference finals. And I think they got that. I think they got that. I think they got that in the 7 games. I think they got that against Giannis coming at them game after game after game, putting up historical stats. And the Bucks look 100%, obviously, without Middleton. But I think Boston are the better, like you said, the team with the momentum and the team that's better balanced to win this matchup. And I guess, to me, the two key players on each team is obviously Tatum and Butler. Okay, and they sort of obviously, the leaders on their teams in their respective ways, I guess. But the key here for Boston is that they can put Marcus Smart, Defensive Player of the Year, on Butler. They don't have to assign their best player, okay, on to the best player on the other team. And I think that's a huge asset to allow Tatum to roam free and not have that sort of defensive assignment on every possession. Okay. And I think, again, it really just gives the Boston Celtics that sort of edge. Not to mention, even though obviously they still got Jaylen Brown in the wings in that sort of situation, he can go off on any given night. Grant Williams obviously showed that he's, peaking at the right time, playing some great basketball too. Robert Williams is back as well, according to the injury report. So that gives them that bit of size to go with Horford, obviously, in the front court there. And I think the keys for Miami, if they're going to pick this up, okay, is someone's going to have a series that's like historical. Okay, and that player, someone like, maybe Hero coming in and, averaging 25, points a game. Maybe Oladipo turns back the clock and comes back and really sort of becomes that third option behind Butler and Bam, obviously, be a third option on the offense in that sort of situation. But look, same with you, man. I got Celtics in 6. Okay,
Yes.
I think they've got the right momentum, the right size, and they've learned lots of valuable lessons here to get them all the way to the NBA Finals.
Well, one of the lessons, obviously, winning 2 elimination games in a row after kind of blowing Game 5. That's not easy to do. And Miami's led every series that they've been in so far. And then obviously as well, both physical teams. Miami's got that reputation for being really hard-nosed and in your face, but Boston has proven now in 2 different series that they can bother people and force them into pretty poor shooting numbers with that. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Jimmy Butler really, getting a double tech at some point and getting really pressured. So
I think an important successful basketball team is also knowing your hierarchy. And I think through the challenges that the Celtics faced going to 7 against the Bucks has really put it into pecking order that Marcus Smart should be number 1, let's be clear, on the offensive end. Tatum should have the ball. he's your man to be the number one option. And Jaylen Brown will play off him. Smart will play off him. Everyone else will play off him. And that's important because those teams that sort of don't know who that key player is, when it comes to crunch time, okay, crunch time, last 5 minutes, it's still a single digit deficit or margin. Okay, you got to know who should be having the ball. Okay, and I think the Celtics and Tatum have answered that question now. And I think that will serve them well, obviously, going to this round.
But even players as well proving themselves in certain games. Al Horford has that massive game. Marcus Smart was a a solid 20-point scorer in a couple of the affairs as well. Miami probably hasn't had that throughout. Jimmy Butler's obviously been very consistent, at 30 plus, but then anyone giving them 20 isn't really as common. They get 4 to 5 players in the teams, which is great team orientated basketball. But, we know that in the playoffs things slow down or get a lot harder to get that spread. So it'll be a good series still, I reckon. But I think maybe it peaked with Bucks Celtics for a competitive Eastern Conference matchup.